what would constitute as deviating from a country's default settings of being a nationalist country? Well, for starters, if you get rid of conscription, you have automatically eroded a very key and fundamental concept of your country's defense policy, your country's warrior ethic. The warrior ethic has suddenly shifted and changed. And to date, only a few countries in the Western world even have conscription. In fact, the only one I can think off the top of my head that does this is Switzerland, of course. And I think the last country that had conscription was the Germans. Germany had the conscription, although I think their system was the draft, which is a slightly watered down version of conscription. Israel has conscription, as many will point out. Yes, that does have conscription, although I'd consider that more peculiar to Israel, because with Israel and its conscription policy, there's a lot more of a get-out clause that in a nationalist country you wouldn't be having the get-out clauses that they be giving their own people, because they often, I think the Orthodox Jews in Israel, they can dodge citizen service, they can dodge conscription, however nations that do have conscription, even in a watered down form, are still adhering to a nationalist ethic. And what's another nationalist default setting? Well, control of your own commerce or businesses. The corporations, if you have them, should always be something that is entrenched and rooted around your nation's borders. There shouldn't be this, we've got these people here and they're not from your nation, but they're going to be coming in doing business, and then you go, okay, that's fine. And then about 10, 20 or even 30 years later, the business all of a sudden that was employing half your people has said, we found a cheaper way of doing business. We're going to take all those jobs and give them to a bunch of foreigners a bunch of foreigners overseas. So wave goodbye to you. Maybe you give you a little bit of compensation to your workers if you're lucky. And that's the last you see of that framework, all those jobs, they've gone. And this is why, some people are waking up to the fact that a country that enshrines itself as a beacon of free trade, you're not really getting anything that's beneficial of the free trade. You're just getting a system that is taking away your national birthright, your national boon to you as the people of that nation, and they're taking it away from you because your commerce is ruled by someone else. And as important, perhaps more important, is your finances. The nation's finances should be rooted in gold or silver or precious metals or some such commodity that is controlled by your nation. It should not be held overseas in a bloody foreign vault where you're relying on a foreign nation, even one that's perhaps similar to you, looking after your gold reserves. And even worse than this is having some bunch of Bankensteins coming in and saying, we can do fractional reserve banking, and the only financial reserves are going to be 10% of the actual total that we make up on a computer screen. So it's all just numbers on a screen going to a stock market here, there, and everywhere. Again, this is an even bigger scam. Nationalist nation should never allow this. It should always be very wary of a created currency that can be yours 1 minute and theirs the next minute, and gone the minute after that. I mean, that's just insanity. A nation's leaders who come up with this should be tried for sedition by the people. It really is a wrong thing to do. And this is another interesting thing. Tony Blair of the United Kingdom, he abolished the crime of sedition, and he argued, it's an outdated law. Bullshit. He outlawed it because it was flipping. It would have had people like him on the dock for selling out the nation, for being a seditious bunch of slime. The mass media is another crucial aspect of the country's psyche, in a way, because that will broadcast to people all across the four corners of a nation to what is going on in the world, and also what's going on inside your country, for example. And when you have a media that is automatically being biased against certain aspects of the country because it doesn't agree with nationalist concepts, then again you have another crucial erosion of any nationalism. It suddenly becomes a step away from nationalism and a step towards internationalism. So if you want to talk about the opposites of what you've got to avoid if you want a nationalist country, and one that should be avoided if at all possible for a country, is avoid steps that take you away from nationalism towards internationalism, and take steps to strengthen what you've got to stop that happening. Another word for internationalism is supranationalism. It's actually becoming over your national interests, and this is another element of internationalism. So when you have a country that looks after its own military, looks after its own finances and companies, and looks after its media, you will largely have things on the level. And there's another piece is having people who are healthy and healthy of mind and spirit. So to that end, you should be promoting actively this sort of thing within a nation. You should be expecting your youth to be healthy and people who are of older age to stay healthy, and that goes for both genders, of course. You don't want to have a nation of degenerates or unhealthy slobs. This is not what it's all about. This is not what our ancestors would have. It's not the natural state of a person is health, because health equals survival. This is the state of affairs in the natural world.
Goes in the natural world also goes in the civilized world, because in the civilized world it's a very watered down version of the natural world to a certain extent, but you still need your health, because with your health, you can always come bouncing back. If you haven't got that, it's another blow against the country. A modern day example of this issue is if you look at the dress and clothing sizes of today and compare them with like the 1940s and 50s, you'll see that people were of a healthier size back in those times than they are now, where obesity is a massive epidemic in the Western world. And I've had a doctor tell me that to my face when I was just going around for a checkup. He said, oh, you're in good shape, you keep healthy, you're at a good weight, a good BMI. And he says, and that's a shame that other people aren't like that. I says, what do you mean? He says, because there's so many people that are overweight now, and this is another issue that the West has got to contend with.